You're listening to Holy Lives, Inspiring Stories. This podcast is brought to you by Paulines Multimedia. Discover the saints. Be inspired to live like one. Welcome back to Holy Lives. Today we're talking about a saint everyone thinks they know but probably don't. A man whose story is so wrapped in legend, it's easy to miss the real, breathing person underneath.
And who is that?
Saint Nicholas of Myra, the man who became the myth.
Oh, Santa Claus. But you're saying there's a deeper story. I mean, where does the red suit end and the real saint begin?
The real story is far more gripping. Nicholas was born in the 3rd century in what is now modern-day Turkey to a very wealthy Christian family. He was their only child.
So he grew up with everything he could possibly want. That's not the typical start to a saint story.
You'd think so, but his life was marked by loss from very early on. While he was still a young man, a plague, an epidemic, swept through his town and his parents died.
Oh, I didn't know that. So he was left alone with this huge inheritance?
Completely alone. And here's where we see the first glimpse of the man he would become. He heard Jesus' words to the rich young man in the gospel, to sell everything and give it to the poor, and he took it literally. He gave away his entire fortune.
His entire fortune? Just like that? Can you imagine the personal cost of that? To give up all your security, everything you've ever known? Especially after losing your family. That's profound.
It is. He wanted no attachment to worldly things. He dedicated himself completely to God and soon became a priest and then a bishop in the city of Myra while he was still a young man.
Wait, a bishop when he was still young? How did that even happen?
Well, legend has it that the priests of Myra couldn't decide on a new bishop. So they declared that the very next priest to walk through the church doors would be their choice.
No way! And was it Nicholas?
In walked Nicholas, who had just come to the church to pray. It was a sign. But his new role came at a dangerous time. The Roman Emperor Diocletian was ruthlessly persecuting Christians.
Right. This was a time when just being a Christian could get you killed.
Exactly. And as a bishop, Nicholas was a target. He was arrested, thrown into prison, and tortured for his faith.
I never associated that kind of suffering with the story of Saint Nicholas. We just see the cheerful gift giver, but he was a prisoner for his faith? What did that do to him?
It forged him. He wasn't broken by it. In fact, he was known for encouraging the other prisoners, sharing his food, and keeping their hope alive even in the darkest of places. He was finally freed when Constantine came to power and legalized Christianity.
That's an incredible story of resilience. But what about the gift giving? Where do those famous stories come from?
They come from that same spirit of radical generosity he showed when he gave away his inheritance. The most famous story is about a poor man in his town who had 3 daughters.
I think I've heard this one, but tell me again.
The man had no money for their dowries. In those days, this meant they couldn't marry and would likely be sold into slavery or forced into prostitution to survive. Nicholas heard about their plight, but he didn't want to humiliate the family by offering charity publicly. So, in the dead of night, he went to their house and tossed a bag of gold through an open window. The father used the gold for his first daughter's dowry, and she was married. A little while later, Nicholas did it again for the second daughter.
So what happened with the third?
The father was determined to find out who this secret benefactor was. He stayed awake every night watching. When Nicholas came with the 3rd bag of gold, he caught him.
Wow. What did he do?
He fell at Nicholas's feet, wanting to thank him, but Nicholas begged him not to tell anyone. He didn't want any recognition. It was about meeting a need, pure and simple.
That's the human element, isn't it? It wasn't about being seen as a hero. It was quiet, hidden, and deeply personal. It also makes you wonder, that secret giving, that must have been the source of his joy.
It truly was. And that story is why children in many countries leave out shoes or stockings on his feast day, December 6th. Legend says the bags of gold landed in stockings that were hanging by the fire to dry.
I had no idea the tradition was linked to saving those young women from such a terrible fate. It gives it so much more meaning. But he wasn't just gentle, was he? I've heard a story that he had a bit of a temper.
You're talking about the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. This was the first major council of the church called to address a heresy that denied that Jesus was truly God.
A pretty big deal then. The very definition of the faith was on the line.
The biggest deal. Nicholas was there defending the faith. A priest named Arius was arguing that Jesus was a created being, not divine.
And what did Nicholas do?
Well, the legend says Nicholas was so overcome with righteous anger at this denial of Christ's divinity that he walked across the room and slapped Arius across the face.
Wait, really? Saint Nicholas slapped a heretic? That is definitely not in the Christmas songs.
It's a very late legend, and historians doubt it actually happened. But the story persists. It shows another side of him, not just a gentle gift giver, but a fiery defender of the truth.
I mean, I get it. To him, this wasn't just an academic debate. It was an attack on the person he had dedicated his entire life to, the one he went to prison for. It shows his humanity, his passion, a flaw maybe, but a relatable one.
Exactly. It reveals the deep, personal fire that fueled his charity. It all came from the same place, a profound love for Christ. Whether he was secretly giving gold or passionately defending doctrine, it was all about protecting the vulnerable and upholding the truth.
When you strip away the sleigh and the reindeer, you find someone so much more real. A man who experienced profound loss, who sacrificed everything, and who felt things so deeply, both compassion and anger.
That's the person we should remember. He wasn't a magical figure who lived at the North Pole. He was a bishop in a busy port town, a man who walked dusty streets, who saw suffering up close and chose to act.
Gently, he reminds us that true generosity isn't about grand gestures. It's about seeing a need and meeting it quietly, without any thought of getting something back. The best gifts are the ones given in secret.
And his life shows us that holiness isn't about being soft. It's about having a spine of steel for the truth and a heart that breaks for the suffering of others.
A fire for truth and a heart for humanity. That's a powerful combination.
It truly is. On that beautiful note, thank you for joining us today on Holy Lives, Inspiring Stories.
Discover the saints.
Be inspired to live like one.